Morning, everybody, or evening, wherever you're from. It's Clayton from Haganah Security. Today, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the gun buying process. I did a video a little while back about gun etiquette and range etiquette, and a lot of people have been asking me, well, can you give me give me some forewarning as to what's going to happen whenever I go to try to purchase my first firearm. And I haven't really been uploading a whole bunch of videos, so I figured I'd go ahead and delete the range etiquette video and go ahead and get you guys, kind of situated on what to expect when you go to purchase your first firearm. So, one of the things we're going to have to know is when you go to purchase a firearm, this is a life-changing event, especially if it's your first firearm. So you're going to have to be prepared for the responsibilities and possibly the use of that firearm if it comes down to it. And do not purchase a firearm unless you are willing to use it if your life is in danger or your family's in danger. Don't buy it because you want to intimidate somebody. I own firearms for my protection, and that is the only reason I own them. I do enjoy going to shoot at the range. I enjoy exercising my right, but at the same time, it keeps me and a lot of other people on a level playing field. I have a lot better chance of survival if it ever comes down to a one-on-one contact with somebody who intends to do me harm. I'd rather have a gun in a night fight than have a knife in a gunfight. That's always the way I've stood on it, and a lot of people won't agree with it. Some of your family will not accept the fact that you have that you choose to own weapons. My own family is not pro-gun at all. They don't get why I want to own weapons or why I carry one, and I'm constantly having to explain to my dad why I carry a firearm. But don't get discouraged by other people. If you're going to buy a firearm for your protection, just know that you might have to use it, and really think about what that might entail, because it's not what you see in the movies. It is not you get shot and the guy just falls down and starts bleeding. There's blood splatter, and he will be laying in your living room floor gasping for air and wait for the police to show up. And there is a wait time. You will have probably 3, 4, 5 minutes that man's going to be laying in your living room if he broke into your house, or being laying in the middle of the road waiting on ambulances and police to show up. It's not what you see in the movies. So you really need to do your research and understand that no gun, I don't care how big it is, unless you're talking about artillery big enough to take out portions of people's bodies, that is going to be an instantly deadly weapon. It is all about shot placement. And when you're in the pitch black of your house, or in an alleyway, or shooting at a moving target, shot placement is extremely difficult, and you'll learn about that when you get to the range. It's not as easy as it looks in the movies. So an introduction to the gun buying process. When you go to purchase a gun, there are a few things you're going to need. You're going to need to bring your driver's license. You're going to need to bring the cash for the firearm that you want. You need to kind of, have a little bit more than you're planning to spend for taxes, or if you need to buy extra magazines or anything like that. You're going to go in and you're going to pick out a gun. This is a general summary. I'm going to break it down here in a minute. You're going to go in, you're going to pick a gun, select the gun you like, then you're going to fill out your paperwork. The main thing you're going to need to know is what city and state you were born in. For me, Texas has Texarkana and Arkansas has Texarkana, so I get confused on which one it is. But after filling out for so many times, but after you get your CCL or your concealed carry permit, you don't have to fill out that paperwork anymore. They will 9 times out of 10, they hand you the gun. What you need to know, we've already kind of covered this a little bit. Whenever you go to purchase a firearm, just know that you might end up having to use it. That is the whole purpose of purchasing them. We do not purchase them to look cool. We do not purchase them to feel better about ourselves. We purchase them because we might end up actually having to use one. Alright, so you walk into the store, you have your cash, you have your driver's license, domestic violent type stuff, and you have no felonies. You go in and you decide you want what kind of gun. You need to do a little bit of research before you go on what kind of guns you're looking at. You need to know the difference between a full size and a compact. I have a Springfield XDS, and then I have my 96 FS. Okay, and it is clear. This is a 96 FS. Okay, this is a 40 Smith & Wesson firearm. This is a full-size pistol. This is almost a foot long. It's extremely wide. Let me figure out a way I can show this without flashing myself. It's extremely wide, but this is a full-size pistol. This is actually considered a full-size service pistol. So you just kind of need to know what you're going to be looking at. A compact, which I have the Springfield. It's a 3.8 inch barrel, so it's extremely small. It's almost the size of my palm. It actually comes to about here on my palm. That's a compact or a subcompact. Polymer versus metal frame. Metal guns are heavier. That goes without saying. Metal is almost 100 times heavier than plastic. But metal guns, I prefer metal guns to polymer guns, especially in the frames, because they just last longer. You need to know what caliber you want. I personally am not a fan of the 9mm. That's the only one I dislike, is the 9mm, because I just think it is it's an insecure round. I think it's people who are too afraid to go up because they're afraid that they're not going to be as accurate or they're not going to look as good at the range. Personally, I wouldn't shoot someone with a 9mm. If I'm going to, there's no such thing as knockdown power. 45 doesn't have more knockdown power, but I think we can all agree that a bigger hole means more blood. So that's kind of the whole point. Is I don't want to shoot someone with a 9mm because I just don't think that a 9mm. Why would I shoot someone with a 9mm hollow point that's going to be the same size as a 40 caliber full metal jacket? It's going to be the same size hole whether it goes through them or not. I prefer a 40 because it's going to be like being shot with a 45 caliber full metal jacket if you have hollow point rounds. Bigger holes means more blood, means better chances of that person not having to suffer. If I do have to shoot someone, I fully intend on killing them. That's the whole point. I wouldn't pull the trigger if I was praying that they were going to be wounded. That is another thing you need to consider, is do not think that because you're going to shoot them that they're just going to immediately be incapacitated, because you can ask any police officer who has training with it. You do not just immediately kill somebody. How to handle the weapons. Whenever you go to get a weapon out of the case, a lot of them have zip ties on them. At least my gun store does. My gun store has zip ties on all of their muzzles. It'll be locked back like this. And before I say all this, I will say that there are some idiots that work at gun shops. I'm not saying all of them are, but there are some idiots at gun shops. I've been flashed more times at a gun shop with the muzzle of a barrel than I have at the range. This is about what you'll get. Is this right here. And if you're looking at the gun and they know you're interested in buying, they might cut it off and then they'll slide the slide forward for you and hand it to you. First thing you're going to want to do is do exactly what I'm doing over here. Keep your finger off of the trigger, and then they're going to hand it to you probably something like this. So they're going to hand it to you like that. You're going to immediately do this, and then you're going to sweep down away from them and point it at the ground. And if you're going to try to mess with it and stuff like that, you do it always pointing at the ground. And if you're going to aim, pick a corner that doesn't have a whole bunch of people. Say, I'm going to aim down there, okay? And then you aim down there and you do whatever you need to do. A lot of stores, they don't have a problem with you dry firing it once or twice if you plan on purchasing it. But if you're taking someone's brand new 1911 that's $600-700 right out of the case and you're sitting there dry firing it and then you're like, nah, not a big fan, that will piss them off. If you're a new gun owner, you need to tell them, I'm a new gun owner. I'm going to look at quite a few firearms. And they'll set you up with somebody that knows enough about most of the firearms to be able to get you going. I don't recommend these for carry. I carry them, but that's because I'm used to it. A lot of the full-size full size pistols are really heavy for people that first time carry. I carry a gun with me everywhere I go unless I'm at work because it's a no carry zone. But if you end up having a full size pistol and you're like, yeah, I got a service pistol, this is going to get old if you're a new carrier and you're not used to this weight really quick, and this will become a nightstand ornament, I like to call it. If it just sits in your bedroom next to your bed, that's cool. It's a house gun. But you need to buy, if you're going to carry, buy a carry gun. Your first time needs to be a really light gun in the caliber you like with a decent magazine capacity. Not, not super duper heavy duty 40 bullets. We don't need that. Just, 10, 11, and maybe carry an extra mag. But these are fun for the range, and these are great home defense guns. But I enjoy carrying them because I just like knowing that I have something there, and it constantly reminds me that I have a lethal weapon on my side. That's another thing we're going to talk about is how your muzzle control. If you're going to be messing around with a bunch of weapons, these people do this for a living. You got to realize, even at your job, you have a bunch of stupid people that come in. Well, this is their job. They have a bunch of stupid people come in, except they deal with lethal firearms. So when you are messing around with firearms in their shop, you need to be aware of the fact that this is their job, and that they're going to look at you crossways if you start doing stupid crap and probably take the gun away from you. They have to go home to their wives just like you want to go home to your wives. Hence the reason you're buying a firearm. But make sure you maintain proper muzzle control. Okay, so you've picked the gun you like, you pick the caliber you like, and you're ready to go. Guy's like, okay, you like this one, let's do it. He's going to hand you a piece of paper. On this piece of paper, it's going to ask you pretty much everything that you would on a job application. These conspiracy theorists trying to say, oh, they got us on a list, they're going to take all of our guns. No, it's the same as going to a job interview. They want to know about you. Where do you live? Where were you born? What's your social security number? Basic stuff so that they can identify you in the system and put you through a criminal background database. People change their names all the time. If they just ask for a name, their chances of you end up being, say your name's Scott, well, there's 450,000 Scotts with your last name. If they have to pick one of them, it's probably going to be the guy that has 12 felonies on his record, and he's just not going to get the firearm because he has the same name you do. Social security numbers help. You're going to end up filling all that out, and then it's going to ask you, what state and city you were born, and you put all that in there, and then you hand them your driver's license. They're going to call the ATF, and they're going to get either an approval or they're going to get a denial or a delay. Okay, a delay does not mean, no, you cannot have this firearm. That doesn't mean give up, walk out of the store with your tail stuck between your legs. This happens to me all the time. It really just boils down to how busy they are. And now that a lot of the retailers are starting to use, the internet and doing it online instead of calling. A lot of old school retailers still do calling, but it's a lot faster online. I've not had almost any delays on the online form. And there's a lot of other terms that I'll break down in another video, in probably another gun range etiquette video, that you're going to want to avoid when you're in a gun shop, just because it's going to make you look like an idiot. Gun delays versus denial. If you get a delay, that's perfectly normal. It happens to people all the time. If you get a denial, you know you're not supposed to be in there. That means you're a felon or you have a domestic violence charge. A few things you might want to buy before you end up hitting the range with your brand new purchased gun is you're probably going to want to buy some magazines. You're going to want to buy some ammunition. If it's going to be a carry gun, you're going to want to do two things. You're going to want to buy two different kinds of ammunition. You're going to want to look for the highest grain that they have, which normally there's like 3 levels in each caliber. There's, the high grains, low grain, and then the medium. And this is not self-defense ammo. This is target range ammo. Because it'll give you a basic idea once you shoot the low grain and then you shoot the high grain, where your comfort level is. If the low is just too low, you don't like it, it doesn't have enough kick, you feel like your gun's underpowered, you go up to the highest stuff. If the highest stuff is too high and it's real snappy and you can't hit the broadside of a barn, then you know you need the middle grade one or variant in between. You're going to want to buy some targets. If you have an indoor range, which I'm fortunate enough to live in the South, so we have outdoor ranges that are considered parks and recreation. They're out there, so we can go out and shoot. But you're still going to want targets. The main reason I said targets is because if you're going to indoor range, some places might require you to buy the targets from them. If that's where you're going, I suggest you find a new place. But you can go out and buy targets cheaper, any kind of targets you want, and have a wider variety than have to go to the gun range and pay their prices for it, because it's almost panic shopping. They know that a lot of people forget their targets when they get to the range, so they have them there. You're not severely price gouged, but you do get kind of price gouged on them, especially if Walmart's right down the road. You're going to want some eye pro and ear pro, especially if you're an indoor range. If you're an indoor range, it'll save you a whole lot of money to go out and buy ear pro and eye pro if you shoot on a regular basis, because they require it. A lot of places require it. Outdoor range, I recommend ear pro and eye pro, regardless as to how you're shooting or what. Simply because if you're shooting a shotgun or anything like that, any firearm, period, there's a risk for malfunction and there's a risk for it blowing up in your face. Not because of anything other than just malfunctions. I would rather have bought a pair of plastic glasses that cost me $4 than have eye surgery because I have shrapnel in it for $4,000 or $5,000. It's a major investment to pay $2 now than $5,000, $6,000 later in the long run, because it will happen. It's happened to me. I've had 2 or 3 times I've been hit in the face with shrapnel just from shooting. I had a shell blow up on me, and then I had shotgun target shots bounce back and hit me right here up underneath my eye pro, and this entire eye was bruised. It hurt so bad. So go out and buy you some eye pro. You're going to want to get a cleaning kit, especially if you're going to the range, sometime within the next week after purchasing a firearm. You're going to want to go out and you're going to want to spend some kind of money on a cleaning kit with cleaning rods and everything else, because you're going to want to have that firearm clean, especially if it's a carry weapon, while it's on you. At least clean your guns once a week, even if you don't take them to the range, simply because it makes them function better, it makes them last longer, and your resale value is higher. If you ever decide, I really don't like this gun near as much as I thought I did, all you have to do is go and resell that gun, and then you have whatever you made off of that towards the purchase of your next one. And the higher maintained your gun is, and the cleaner the bore, and how all of that stuff comes into play when they're going to resell your firearm. So they have to look at it and judge it. So you might have paid $600-700 for your brand new gun. When you go to resell it 2 months later and you haven't taken care of it and it's all gunked up and gross, and they know they're going to have to strip it down and clean it with an ultrasonic, they're probably not going to give you quite as much money because they have to put so much work into it. You're going to want to oil your guns before you store them. If you're the type that has a house gun and you put it in a safe, you're going to want to take it out at least once a month and oil it down and put some oil down the barrel, because if you don't have a dehumidifier or anything like that, they will rust so quick, especially full metals. Full metal will rust faster than a polymer metal combo, because metal stores moisture in it. If you've ever noticed, when you get into a car you have to defrost, same thing with metal guns. They work as a heat sink. So if you have them in a warm environment and then swap them to a cold, you'll have condensation on the barrel. I've had it happen a few times. Holsters. If you're going to buy a holster for open carry or for concealed carry, I recommend, if you are a first time gun owner and you're just now beginning to carry, get your concealed carry permit and conceal carry. If it is legal for you to open carry, then you can do that probably 2 or 3 months after you've been carrying a firearm. But the first few months, you're going to want to conceal carry that firearm so that you can get a feel for having a weapon on you, see how it interferes with your everyday life, and see how many times a day you might have to take that firearm off and store it in a safe in your car because you need to walk into the mall. There's a lot of places that do not let people carry in firearms, especially places that have children, movie theaters, things like that. They don't appreciate people carrying firearms. If you have eaten at a place for 5 years and then you go out and buy a gun and you look on the door one day and you're like, oh, it's had a no carry sign out there for as long as I remember. That's what I'm talking about. Your life will change. There'll be places that you've gone forever and not even thought about it, and then you look outside the door and it says no concealed firearms, no knives, stuff like that. Then you have to turn around and walk back to your car. Conceal carry. And then once you get comfortable with having a firearm, knowing what to look for, knowing where to go, if you need to do this, if you need to do that, learning how to clean your firearm, take care of it, and keep control of the firearm, especially in crowded places. That's one of the big things about open carry. If you're open carrying, you have to keep a 20-foot bubble around you at all times. When I stand on a line, I keep my hand on top of my pistol. I'm not holding the trigger. I'm not doing anything. I'm just pushing down into my holster when I'm in a line. Because if someone walks up behind you and they decide they want that gun, it is a lot harder for them to get it out when my hand is on top of it and I'm locked down on it than for me to just be standing there lollygagging, talking to people, and then someone runs up behind me and pulls it out. Retention holster or not, there are some people out there that also own firearms that know how to get it out of any retention holster. It doesn't matter if it's SERPA or not. But if you are going to open carry, you need to conceal carry for a little while to get you a little more comfortable and acclimated to owning a firearm. Another thing you need to do is you need to purchase a firearm safe. Be it for your vehicle, be it for your house, purchase a safe, because there's going to be times that you're not going to want to bring a gun with you. Your daughter's graduation, you're going out to the bar. You do not want to have that firearm with you if you've been drinking or anything else. It's illegal. It's not only illegal, it's very irresponsible. But you're not going to want to even have it in the car with you. Because in some states, if you get pulled over, you have to tell the police officer you have a firearm in the vehicle. Especially if you're a concealed carry permit holder. All of us know this. If you get pulled over, if you are carrying, you're supposed to tell the police officer, I am carrying a firearm. And then he'll ask you where the gun is and ask you to step out. And then he'll take the firearm from you until the traffic stop is done. And then he'll hand it back to you. But a lot of things you're going to have to think about. The main thing is going to be you. And there's not a single firearm out there that is going to be 100% effective for everybody. It really boils down to you. If you're comfortable with it, if you enjoy that firearm, if you're proud of that firearm. I get a lot of questions of people when I open carry because a lot of my firearms are pretty unique. I don't carry an M9. And gun owners notice that this is not an M9. This is a 96 FS, which was the less popular model between the two because the U.S. military carries the M9, which is the 92 FS. And then this is the 40 cal version. I wasn't going to have a 9mm, and this one was in excellent shape when I picked it up. This one was actually used. I can't hardly find a new one because I don't want one of the A1s or the A2s or the A3s. I like the original, no bottom crap. I like the slick frame on them. And I do color fill on a lot of my guns. I do like designs and stuff on the bottom of my magazines. I color fill the side of my slides, contrasting colors. My sights are a completely different color than the originals. But people ask me because it brings attention, and especially in small towns, places that don't have a lot of open carry acclimated people, you're going to get a lot of questions, especially from police. But this has been that Craig Greeny from Haganah Security and Tactics. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, morning, whichever it is. And I'm going to try to post videos a little bit more regularly. I know I'm kind of slacked off a little bit. But there'll probably be one uploaded within the next 2-3 days. Same title as before, Range Etiquette, Gun Etiquette. and that'll kind of break down what you're going to do at the range whenever you get to the range. And it's a lot of the same rules, but there's some things that you're going to have to do completely different because those people are dealing with loaded firearms. So, all right, guys. Well, I will talk to you guys later, and I hope you guys have a good morning or evening.